Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Kevin McDonald, but you probably have heard that before, maybe. And of course, you know Brichelle. The people are meeting her, and they're walking up to her that are just perfect strangers and saying, "Are you on that show with that old fat white guy? Yeah, that's the show I'm talking to. Yeah." And Brichelle, how are you?
I'm doing good, Kevin, and I honestly love those moments, and I don't tell them that because they don't say that. But I love being recognized for a good purpose and a good reason. I always thought it wouldn't be so happy of a reason that people would be approaching me. But I'm excited to be here, and we have another great guest to finish off the first day of the week. We got Larice Peoples joining us in today, and I am going to let him tell us about all the work that he does in his own words. So, welcome, Larice. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me today. Where can I start on this journey? I am a life coach, what I consider more of a mindset and leadership coach, where I work with individuals, helping them reach their full potential. Where I like to say, unlock your potential and create the lifestyle that you desire. So on my daily basis, I work with clients. I either work with executives and really just helping them basically understand what a work-life balance is, and help them in areas that they may struggle in, from self-confidence, from limiting beliefs, but also on the personal level, being able to say, how do I achieve the goals that allows me to become the person that I truly desire to be? On the executive level, how do I advance in my career, basically developing great leadership skills, but also developing that work-life balance so that I don't lose myself to like maximizing my work, but also minimizing my awareness of my personal life, like family and children.
Very good. Kevin, what do you think?
I was waiting for you. Actually, I've got a ton of questions for you. First of all, I wanted to ask you on you've heard the phrase leaders are made, not born. Is that true?
Yes. You just
In a way.
imagine if you could be born a leader, like what type of leader would you be? Because you don't know anything.
Well, that is true. Now, but is there a difference between somebody learning to be a good leader or somebody who wants power?
It's a real big difference in somebody who actually want to be a good leader and somebody who wants power.
Because power is self-defeating in a way, isn't it?
It can be. It depends on how you use your power. You know, when you look at society, most people want power for the wrong reason. It was for manipulation, for basically be an authoritarian type of leader and being able to minimize everyone else. But when you say, hey, I'm creating power around me so that I can basically give back to people and serve people. And so that's what I've done with the power of my knowledge. It allows me to be able to give back to other people and be able to service them to create the life that they want without me actually manipulating people and basically having a bias and judging them and putting them down a rabbit hole to where they can actually climb out.
Why is it in your work and elsewhere? And by the way, if Rochelle magically disappears at one point, it's because she is going to fly up here to see me. She's in Salt Lake City. I'm in Seattle, and she needs to get some rest so her arms don't get tired. You know what I mean? And so she's going to be with us until she's not. And so before you go, Rochelle, though, I want to make sure that did you have any questions for Larice to answer before you go?
Yeah, really just when you start working with people, what would you say is the first step to, besides willingness and becoming open to the idea of knowing that you want that change, but what's really the first step that you dig in with people to start journey of finding what that even is.
I mean, first is just having asking a simple question. What are some of the things or that you struggle with? What are your biggest struggle that's preventing you from having happiness right now? Preventing you from actually having the life that you desire right now, preventing you from actually achieving the goals that you want to achieve. And then we kind of dial it back then. And like most people, they give you the big scale picture of where they want to be. But like I always tell, it's like peeling the onion back. There's many layers in between to where you really want to be, but let's kind of minimize our distraction, and let's just really just focus on what can you do right now in the next week, the next 2 weeks, the next 30 days that allows you to overcome at least one thing that you may be struggling with right now.
Hmm, very
What
good.
are some of the major struggles that people have that come to see you? What are some of
Uh,
the first things that they have to get over?
on a personal development side, most people struggle with confidence, self-esteem is the biggest thing. And they struggle with understanding that they're not alone because most people feel like they're only fighting the same battle within themselves, but that's just a thought on the
Mhm.
personal line, but it's mostly confidence, self esteem, or goal setting. Where people, hey, I've set goals over and over again, but I haven't achieved those goals. I struggle with it. So we have to figure out why are they struggling with those goals, or why do you lack confidence, or why do you lack self esteem? Like, what type of past history has caused you to lack the self esteem or ability to set goals? When you think about on the leadership side, it's more on how do I have that work life balance? I'm great at my job, but I'm a terrible dad, or I'm a terrible mom, or my communication is bad outside of like the work environment. So what's the cause of that? Like, how can we build that comfort level to be able to have that work life balance so that you can excel at work, but you can also excel at home? Because when you develop a great work life balance, it allows you to even excel more in the workplace.
Mm.
Rochelle?
Like, yeah, I think that's 100% where anybody shows up for themselves, you see they show up for the world. Doesn't matter if they're going to the grocery store, doesn't matter if they're having a friend over even in their house. The whole dynamic of how you are with yourself changes how you are with people. So I think that is extremely important. Um, and the second question I had for you, it's kind of all over the place, but um, in working with people, do you still see things that, like, even in yourself, that you have to consistently work on as you're helping other people, to be able to set those examples and that boundary?
Absolutely. To your question, I have a coach. Like I tell
Very
people
good.
is that, like the world doesn't stop. Like once before I met this guy, he probably was in his 60s. And he said, in my 20s, I realized in my college that I need to do some self-help, some self-discovery. He said, still to this day, being married 30 plus years, I still understand that I need to do some self-discovery and have self-help. So like self-help and self-improvement, it doesn't just stop because, my clients have 6 months with me or a year with me. It's an ongoing process. And sometimes we advance in those 6 months, but just because we have that advancement in that short amount of time, that might extend for like the next year. Based on your growth processes, based on your situations in life, you might need more self help. I always tell people that, reading is the most powerful thing you can possibly do. But, it's so hard for people. Nobody wants.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
We
we got a
we
little
lost
bit of a glitch. As long as we can hear you, Larice. Um,
we lost your audio.
yeah. Well, let me ask you a question. We'll see if we can hear you. I'll finish it off with
Say
saying,
again.
do you?
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
You're
there,
back.
there we go. Yeah, so bringing that up, when you see people that are able to work through just that first 6 months and see that one goal or that one little thing that they saw was building on something else, do you see that it's easier for them to continue that process rather than to kind of just get that big glorifying moment and then fall back off the edge?
It depends on the person. A lot of time people have short-term goals where they really want to focus on being able to excel for a specific objective, right? And in the beginning, when I first started working with clients, that within the first 30 days, they see results and they jump off the wire. Like, oh, Larice, I don't need you anymore. I'm good. And the reason I say 6 months, because it allows you to create habits. And when you create habits within yourself, the lasting effect, it lasts a little bit longer than, oh, I got a quick fix, I'm good. But out of 6 months, I think people typically over about a year, maybe year and a half, based on where they're at in their lives and what they're trying to change in their lives, typically becomes like a lasting effect until they feel that, I'm struggling in a different area now. One of the key things I focus on with my clients is understand that, hey, no matter what you do in life, what are your values? Are the decisions that you're making aligned with your values? Or can you really say, hey, I'm doing a good job. This is what I really want to do. And are you doing it for you, or are you doing it for someone else?
Mm.
How many people actually know what they want to do and then what their passion is and then how to go about making it work and making money? Because I'm sure that in your work, you get a lot of people when you say, what are you passionate about? What do you want to do? Oh, hell, I don't
I don't
know.
know.
I want to make money. I want to have a great big car. So what do you tell them?
So when I ask, like, what are your passions, like, what are your goals? And, most of the time their goals are someone else's goal is
Mm,
what comes across a lot. And so that's where
Thanks, Mom.
and that's where the understanding of your values, to make sure the decisions that you're making and make sure the goals that you actually want to accomplish align with your values. Most clients that I've come across don't have values because their value stems from childhood, friendships, relationships, and what everybody else tells them the value. And with that being said, it's like, well, the decision you're making is based on somebody else's opinion or somebody else's idea that you feel is great for you. So we basically identify, what are your values? Like, what are your strengths? What characteristics that you have that can basically complement the goals that you want to achieve in life? And so, like I said, that's what we go, like, we peeling the onion back because we really want to understand, who are we? Like most of my clients are between 35 and 50. And so you think about between those age range, they had a lot of experiences, they had a lot of influences, they had a lot of people telling what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing. And they have this sense of darkness within them, not understanding who they are, to where that it hurts them to even take a step to say, you know what, Larice, you're right. I don't have values. I don't understand my strengths. I don't even understand what are my key characteristics in life. I'm living a life that's basically built around everybody else, but I don't know my true self, and I want to change.
mm.
That's an important statement for somebody to make right there, and I'm willing to bet that a lot of people it happened to me in that time frame. Fortunately, it happened to Rochelle. She was a little younger, but It happens where you get, in my case, I got the job. I made some money. I had the house, had the wife, had the kids, had the dog, had the cat, had this picket fence, and all that. But I was still fundamentally not happy. Is this all there
Mhm.
is? Because if this is all there is, it ain't near enough. And so, but I didn't have somebody that in those days there were no coaches out there. Coaching is a newer phenomenon. And when I say newer, or older, or I'm talking 25 years ago.
You're
And
still young.
I know.
well,
That's what I tell him.
well, I'm young at heart, and Michelle says I'm aging backwards. As a matter of fact, she's gonna paint my beard for me, I think. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh
there's
yeah.
some changes, and I have to ask you because Kevin said through this process of coaching, what's your favorite part about coaching?
To be honest, it's just about serving other people. I feel like people have so much to give within themselves, but they really don't understand the true opportunity that they have. So because when I was going through, I didn't have a coach, right? And I've been in the service industry for a long time because I worked in the fitness industry on and off for 20 years. And what I found that throughout the fitness industry, people don't basically achieve their goals is because of their commitment to changing themselves, not the physical part, but the mental aspect. So when I found a coach, because I went through therapy several times, I had a coach several times, as far as a mentor several times. And what I realized is that I want to give back to people in such a way that it impacts them in a in powerful way that they can change their life and really become the person that they want to, not only for themselves, but for everyone else around them. So it's really about serving people and adding value, and adding more value.
Do most people realize that that is their inherent right to search for the passion that makes them, or are most people caught up in their childhood and in the little voices and the stories that they've been told that is, oh no, you can't do that. You need to just settle down and do your job and go home and take care of your kids. And that's, and then when you get older and you're in 65, 70, then you can achieve, oh, you're not going to be well then, or you may be dead then. Oh, I'm sorry. You just don't get it then. You don't get your dreams. So you shouldn't wait, should you?
No, it's a combination of both. A lot of it inherited from the upbringing of what the limiting beliefs that they have based on parenting, based on economic situations, based on education. And then some people just feel as if like, I have a passion, but I don't know how to achieve it. They're afraid. They have that fear, that limiting belief that they can actually excel and understand that failure is like if I fail, then people are going to judge me. So it's that aspect for those people who don't have the who have the passion but had a good upbringing but just don't have the desire to do it because of the fear of failure. And then you have those individual their inherited beliefs from their childhood saying that you're not good enough. um, you're never going to achieve those goals, that you're not smart enough. And so you have to kind of break that mindset amongst them. And I get clients on both ends where the traumatic situation from childhood um, really has affected them because they've been told no so much and they've been rejected so much. And I've had individuals who, had a good upbringing, but they're just afraid to actually take a chance on themselves because of what they perceive everybody else would think of them. But like I tell people, the older you get, the less people care about you. Like they care about you, but the less they care about your success because they have their own problems and issues that they're dealing with.
Well, and I love that statement. It's none of my business what you think of me, because I don't particularly care. And I get people all the time that say, how do you make money doing what you're doing? And I said, well, the universe will provide. And oh, that's a pipe dream. There are lots of people. When you're doing something like what I'm doing or what you're doing, people are not necessarily invested in your success. They're more invested in your failure because then that makes them feel better. Is that true?
Absolutely. Most people don't want to see other people like succeed in life, and it's hard for them to succeed in life. But it's because of the lack that they have within themselves and the lack of belief that they have in themselves. Because maybe they did have your dream before to say, "Hey, I want to host podcast. I want to interview people every day, and this is my life, and I want to add value to people." Maybe that was their dream, or so to them, it's like, "Well, I don't want you to have it because I couldn't do it." And it's just the lack of the fear that they have, and then lack of just understanding that you can achieve anything in life as long as you put your mindset to it, and being able to network with other individuals to help you increase your chances of being successful, and surrounding yourself around people that allows you and that encourage you to be great. But the average person, when you think about, and I always ask my clients, is like, what are your circle of friends? What type of conversations
Mm.
are they having? Are they empowering you, or are they talking about sports? Are they talking about some negativity that may be on the news? Like who are you communicating with? Because that's very impactful to your success. Whether it's your spouse, how are the conversations between you and your spouse? How is the conversation between you and your coworker? Is your manager talking about promoting you? If so, what are the steps that they're allowing you to obtain to be able to achieve that goal? Like, it's all about who you surround yourself with. And it's all about your ability to go from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset.
Mm.
I couldn't agree more. By the way, Larice Peoples is our guest, and go to thepeoplesuccess.com to find out all about him. We need to take a quick break because according to this commercial, I've lost 37 pounds. Hard to believe, I know. We'll be right back. At 67 years young, I never thought I'd feel this good again. But thanks to Purium's Ultimate Transformation Lifestyle, to date, I've lost 37 pounds and gained energy, confidence, and a whole new outlook on life. This isn't a diet. Purium is a complete lifestyle change, giving me all the natural, organic, nutrition-packed superfoods that fuel my body, crush my cravings, and help me burn fat naturally without starving myself. No gimmicks, no guesswork, just a simple, proven system that works. Superfood shakes, detox support, and real results. If I can do this at 67, imagine what you can do. It's your time to feel better, look better, and live better with Purium. Let's do it now, and let's do it together. Go to www.positivetalkradio.net and click on the Transform You to get started. That's positivetalkradio.net. Transform You. And welcome back to Positive Talk with Rochelle. That's her. That's the one. You're going to have to see her on the street. She's dang near famous.
And I'm actually about to leave us all.
Oh
And thank you
no.
for being here,
How
Larice.
rude.
I know. I just had to add to that comment that we were last talking about because I think that those people can be really encouraging also. Use that as motivation to prove that person right or wrong in whatever sense. Because a lot of times, um, maybe people don't want to see you do that good, but what that will empower in them can also set a really amazing trend of their own healing and their own guidance in themselves to realize how much they put you down and how much you were able to bring yourself up out of it. So I just want to leave us with that thought. But thank you so much for having me. And
Michelle, before you go, I've got to tell this story, and I don't know
okay.
if you've heard it before, just disappear. But sometimes I tell the same stories. But years and years and years ago, I went to work. I'd been a general manager at another restaurant that folded, and then I went to work at a Mexican restaurant, and they were having a meeting, and they were introducing me to the entire staff. And I was dressed in my little suit and all that, and they were dressed in polo shirts and stuff, so I was overdressed. Anyway, the other assistant manager comes up to me and he says, yeah, my name's we used to call him Roger because he had a little stutter. And anyway, and he said, I said, is this a good place to work? And he said, yeah, it's fine if you want to be an assistant manager your whole life. And I said, what do you mean? Well, there are only 4 restaurants in the chain, and all the general managers are there, and they're happy, and I don't see any of them leaving. And you've got 11 guys that are ahead of you to get the next store that's available. And rather than saying to them, oh, okay, that's too bad, maybe I'll go someplace else that has a better shot at success, I said, no, I'm talented at this. You're not. I can do this. You can't, or you don't have the skills. And so, as it turned out, another general manager left 6 months later. They promoted me, the last guy hired, first guy to become a general manager. And the assistant manager who told me that I would never be a general manager was my assistant. Because you can do this if you set your mind to it, but you also, it's not a matter of just expecting it to be and to put up like a vision board. You got to work for it, and you've got to own it, and you got to believe in yourself, and you can do anything in life. And with that, Rochelle, I want you to go pack so that you can fly away.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kevin, for having me here. And Larice, thank you for being here. I have a feeling we're going to have you come back just to follow up on the journey with you.
Hold on just a second, because now I want you to say who you really are.
Me?
Me?
No, her.
What did I say?
You said, thank you for having me on. No, Toots, you're the host of the show.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you, everybody, for being here. Yes, and like I said, Larice, we'll keep in contact. We'd love to follow up with your journey, and thank you for coming here to share this message and continuing to empower people and humble yourself enough to know that even you need that help. That's powerful.
Thank you, and have a safe travel. And maybe next time I'll be looking forward to another opportunity to share with you guys, and and keep
Well,
you on for the whole show.
hold on, Toots, you ain't going anywhere. I got more to talk to you about. But she's she's got to go. And by the way, I'm the creator. She's the host. It's almost like a deity thing. I don't know. But
I'm
anyway,
still getting used to it,
Rochelle,
but
thank
yes.
you.
Thank you, everybody. I love you lots and have a happy, happy Monday night.
Bye.
Take care. And so, by the way, we're talking with Larice Peoples. That's right, isn't it, Larice?
Larice Peoples. Yeah.
I knew that. And go, go to thepeoplessuccess.com and work with him, because everybody just, and let me just say this. I have a coach. Everybody I know needs a coach because you can see something in me that I can't see myself as a coach. And so you're trained to bring that out in people so that they get the understanding that they can do more than they've been told. Isn't that right?
You're absolutely right, Kevin. Like I tell most people, like when I come on as a coach with them, is that you're the expert of your life. I'm here to assist you and pull things that you're overlooking, that you may be struggling with, and being able to create an action plan for you. And what does your next 6 months look like for you? What are your goals that you're trying to achieve? And then we basically create that plan based on their needs.
Yep. And we're but at the same time, I imagine that in the process of creating that, you're helping them understanding more about themselves than the stories that they've been told by other people telling them things that were either inherently not true or were shaded in some manner or form, and you're helping them understand who they really are and what they can really achieve in life. Isn't that what you do too?
Absolutely. We dive deep. The areas that they struggle in the most, whether it's communication, whether it's self-belief, limiting belief, whether it's confidence, whether it's really just creating winning habits overall. My job is to really understand, okay, why? What's the reason why you feel that you're not good enough? What's the
I
reason why you lack confidence? What's the reason why you don't have the habits? So my job is really to understand that and give them suggestions of how to improve that, to ask the powerful questions that make them think about who they are and how they actually are, how they're able to actually grow within themselves. One of the key things I tell most people is through journaling, meditation, and create a routine for yourself.
I'm willing to bet that most people hate it when you ask that question. Well, this is how I am. Why? Well, I don't know. Why? And going through that process and getting people to think about actually deep down why you think the way that you do and and believe the things that you do when they may not be serving you.
Yeah, the biggest thing I asked you, one of the questions that I like to throw out there, like, when was the last time you felt like you? Describe that image to me. Like when you felt the happiest, when you felt the most confident, when you felt like you can actually achieve the things that you want to in life. And they think about, and the reason I do that because it allows them to think about what changed since then. Is it the people you surround yourself with? Is because you lack motivation? Is because, you got rejected by a job or a person? Like, what was that happy moment for you? And why do you want to get back there? So those are like the key questions in the beginning to understand, who are they? What happened? What prevented you from actually achieving your goals and creating happiness? What prevented you from actually having the confidence that you need within yourself to be able to push forward personally and professionally?
I'm willing to bet that there are people that you talk to who have come to you for help, who when you say, when when were you in your happy place? And they can't tell you because they don't know.
Absolutely. You're
That makes
absolutely
it
right,
really,
Kevin.
really tough. And if
And
you don't know what you don't know, then you don't know it. And you don't it's hard to figure it out by yourself.
like when they tell me that they don't know, so then we look at the present moment. What does happiness look like for you? What does being a confident person look like for you? What does a person that you desire to be look like? What do you want to see the next 3 years of your life look like? And so then we start from there. And because we start from there, once they tell me like, hey, I want to lose 30 pounds. I want to basically increase my confidence because of, I feel insecure when I'm around my peers, or because I lack the education. Because when I have conversation with people, I feel like I'm left out in the room because I can't converse with them at an intellectual level. So we start from there. And then I ask the reason, why do you feel that you can't lose 30 pounds? Why do you feel that you can't converse with people at an intellectual level? Why do you feel you can't have happiness in your marriage or in your relationship or within your job? And then that basically peels back. Okay, this is the reason why I feel like I can't lose 30 pounds, because I have a significant other, and all we do, we go out to eat and nobody want to cook at home. Okay, let's change that. Let's create habits that you can put in place that allows you to change your current situation.
And I'm willing to bet that there are people that are saying, yeah, I'd love to lose 30 pounds and I'm broke all the time. Why are you broke all the time? Well, because we're going out to eat all the time.
Yeah,
And that's why I'm 30 pounds. So there's actually multiple things that can be changed for something, because you eat at home, you'll have more money too.
absolutely. But when it comes
So
to actually achieving their goals, then we talk about, what's preventing you from achieving your goals. People say time, people say education, people say, I don't have the support from other people. And then we basically peel back like, do you need support from other people to achieve your goals, or you just need a plan?
I say you need a plan, dang it. And that's why you go to Larice to help you establish a plan for what you're going to do in this life to live your best life, and to understand that you have it all inside you. We need to take a break and we will be right back. We're talking more with Mr. Peoples and his website, and go work with him. He would be an awesome man to go work with. And we will be right back after this.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, and Brachelle is flying away right now. So, but we're talking to Larice Peoples, who is a coach and a success coach, is what I would term him. Is that how you would term yourself, sir?
I would call myself a transformational coach, but I really like to tell people it's all about mindset and leadership. Changing your mindset and create a leader within yourself to allow you to excel both personally and professionally.
But to become a leader of yourself, don't you have to lead?
That's where the personal development part comes from. You got to basically be able to tell yourself which direction we're going. How do you lead yourself from out of your struggles, from building confidence, from overcoming anxiety, overcoming depression, like being able to put a plan together for yourself to say, this is the direction that I'm going. Because if I can lead myself out of my adversity and basically choose resilience, I can lead someone else. Because then I can tell someone my story.
Yeah, indeed. And I remember when I was young, and I was a waiter at Denny's, as a matter of fact. And I went to the to the manager, and I said, I'd like to get into management. My dad was a manager for a long time, and I said, I'd love to get into management. And he said, really? And I said, yes, but if I got into management, would they follow me? And he said, well, then you're not ready to get into management. because I had to learn that you are who you are and that you need to be confident in your abilities of what you can do and be kind and thoughtful and helpful. But there are a lot of people that just don't get it, just don't go that far. They're content with just being and letting everything just kind of wrap around them and stuff like that. How do you help people who, of course, they're not the people who come to you? It's the ones that are interested in change that come to you, right?
Correct.
How do you
Like
get more
one,
people to be interested in change? That's what I want to convey to people is if you're not happy where you are, you need to do well, I take that back. You could choose to do things differently so that you can be happy with who you are and go on the grand adventure that we call life. It's not drudgery, it's not painful, it's not oh, woe is me. You can actually have the absolute best time, but sometimes you need somebody to help you. And that's what Larice does. Would you agree with that?
absolutely, Kevin. I agree. And the people like, what are your niche? Like, what people do you feel like you can help? It's the people that was me 10 years ago. Is how I look at it. The things that I struggled with when I was 35 years old, the things that I struggled with from my mindset, just my habits, from eating habits, the self confidence issue that I had 10 years ago, the ability to stay motivated. Those are the people that I target. Those are the messages that I speak to people about from a motivational speaking aspect. Anything that I post, I'm talking about myself, and this what makes me such a great expert because I've helped myself be able to overcome these things, but not overcome them and being angry about the adversity that I went through, but being able to have resilience, being able to have a positive thought and a positive mindset about your success. Because everything that happens in our lives, we have two choices in how we respond. We get to respond through our adversity to angry and self-doubt and failure and talking to ourselves in a negative way, or we get to respond with resilience and understand that those lessons that you learn as a positive lesson for your growth. So it really just depends on how you choose to respond.
And I love the fact that you use the term because they're not interchangeable. They have different energy to them entirely. But you use the term respond rather than react. Why do you
Yeah,
choose to use that term?
because I feel like when you react to something, like you're instantaneous react. You don't think about your reaction. You just basically react because you're in that moment. But when you respond, to me, it gives yourself a time to think about what action do I need to take? How do I need to take these actions? Who can I actually get ask for help to help me overcome the adversity that I may be having in my life currently right now? And it's really just about sitting in yourself. A lot of times, I sit by myself and I'll think about what is my next plan of action. Let me write it out. How can I overcome this? But always looking at things from a positive perspective. Even from a young child, I will always look at things, no matter how much my struggle was, and I've had struggle as a young kid growing up. I always look at things from the positive view of things, like thinking about, oh, it could be worse, but because this is my current situation, how can I solve the problem? How can I get help to overcome my adversity right now? And so we have to look at ourselves and say, am I going to respond irrationally or am I going to respond in a rational way and ask for help and understand what are my solutions? What are my possible solutions for the challenging situation that I may have currently right now?
Well, and I got to ask you because it's did you have good support from your mom and dad?
I grew up with just my mom, and my mom is a family of four, and so she had to work to support a family of four. And so, even as a kid, like I'm gonna tell this story because my grandmother will always tell this story. Like she would ask the question like, "Where do you want to go to school at? You want to go to school with your dad, or you want to go to school with your mom?" And my response every single time was, "It doesn't matter where you go to school at. You still have to learn." So even as a kid, I always look at things from the positive perspective because no matter what, you have to grow up, you have to make choices. It really just depends on how you respond to the choices that's in front of you.
That is oh so true. And a lot of people don't respond appropriately to, they end up reacting. And
Yeah.
that's not a good place to be. And even in, we all have got experiences in our life that move us along to where we're going. And some of them are good, some of them are not so good. But did you have I like to call a bad country music song. But in your life, did you have a lot of negatives that helped you understand where you were trying to go and the man that you wanted to become? By the way, I can't believe that you were 35 10 years ago. You look so young and so vibrant, and stuff. But you know
Thank
what I
you.
mean? Where did this drive come from you or for you?
So I grew up in the South, like South Carolina, and I created a work habit early on from with my grandfather. We would go out, we'd go to the farm, we would work in the tobacco field. So I always had a positive work habits. Right around when I was a teenager, hanging out with the wrong people, being at the wrong, what do you say, being at the wrong place at the wrong time, right? And so we got stopped by the cops. One of my friends, threw some drugs on the ground, and then nobody claimed it. So I got arrested and blamed for that. Even though I had that encounter, I still felt like I can get out of this situation. Fast forward 6 months later, the same thing happened. The cops came, somebody threw drugs on the ground, and everybody go to jail, right? So here I am under the age of 15 years old, faced with two drug charges and 20 years imprisonment. And at that moment, I still had the good spirit that no matter what, I can get out of this. I didn't beat myself up about it. I went to court, got a lawyer. And it's all about who you know also, who can actually support you in your corner throughout these processes as you're going through this journey. And even though facing with 20 years, I still look at myself like, I can get through this. And I went to court for each case, and it got basically bumped down under my juvenile record. But at the same time, it allows me to understand that if you keep a positive mindset, if you stay motivated, if you stay resilient, you can achieve anything with the right support and people around you. My mom was there, my pastor was there. We knew some other people that kind of helped. My lawyer was there, and I kept the same demeanor throughout it all because I believe that this is not my fault. But I also believe that if I stay positive, I can achieve anything. My resilience was, I deserve better than this. And ever since that moment, I looked at life as you can overcome anything in life. You can overcome your adversity because when you're faced with 20 years as a teenager, not knowing what your future is, you can achieve anything in life once you get that second opportunity. And it's about how you use those opportunities in life.
It seems it seems to me that if you're a 15-year-old young man and somebody said to you, okay, you're facing 20 years in prison. To me, that's like when I was 15, that'd be 35 is old. That's like a death sentence kind of thing. Is that how you viewed it?
I didn't look at the years because I felt like deep down inside I'm not going to get convicted, and I'm just saying just because of I just look at the positive aspect. Like when I would go to court, I would go to court dressed appropriately because I was active in my church. I was a real good kid. I didn't get into trouble. It's just being at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people caused me to be in a situation. But it also taught me a lesson of the value of myself. How much do I value myself? Am I willing to put my life in jeopardy based on other people's actions? And from that moment forward, it never happened again because I chose me. I chose to make decisions for myself. I chose to understand that when certain things are in front of me or that I feel is negative, it's time for me to remove myself. So I understand the value of me.
And I'm willing to bet that you didn't hang around with that particular group of friends much after that.
Absolutely. Absolutely not. I was just like, I let it go and I moved on. And, when I had the opportunity to go to college, I went to college and I haven't been back since to live. I'll go visit my family, but I will never go back to live.
What did you major in college?
I have a bachelor's in biology with a minor in business, and I have a graduate degree in business and marketing.
How many people in your family have gone to college? Are you one of the few, or is that kind of an expectation in your family?
In my immediate family, I'm the only one who graduated a 4-year college and actually achieved a master's degree.
Congratulations, by the way. That is no small feat. And you should be um, congratulating yourself. And I think you are congratulating because you're doing so much with your life and stuff. And you are a great role model for a lot of people. Do you do speaking too?
I do speaking. I've done speaking at schools and for the youth. My overall objective to basically to be on a bigger stage, but really just giving back and adding value to younger people to understand that they can actually achieve as much as they want to achieve in life if they just humble themselves and understand the true value of themselves.
Now, I got to ask you when we come back from this real quick, it's just 30-second break. But I want to ask you, kids today seem like they're a lot less empowered than previous generations, and they and I don't know this to be true, but I drove a bus for 12 years, and some of the kids that I ran into were not, did not feel like they had their life was going to have a good outcome, and they and I want to talk to you about that because it's important for kids to know that yes, you too can get a master's degree. We'll be right back.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald and Larice Peoples. He's over there, and I'm over here, of course. And and Larice, your story really is inspiring and it's incredible. Do you find in the kids when you go talk to kids at school that there are a lot of them that don't feel like they have a chance, that they matter, that they can do anything that they want, or do they feel less than? And some of them get into drugs, some of them get into other things that is not appropriate for them because they don't think they're going to make it past 20 anyway. Or is that a thing?
Absolutely. What I've encountered with the youth is that most of them don't feel valued. They have the lack of confidence. They have a lot of anxiety. I read an article where they said 70% of Gen Z is depressed and have anxiety, and that's a lot. And I feel that it comes from because nobody's taking the time to care for them. Nobody like the digital world is raising our kids and which prevents them from understanding the factors of what is the value of them. They don't understand their true value. They don't feel love. They feel like they're alone a lot of the times. And, what prevents them from being able to communicate how they actually feel. When I've gone to schools and, I've talked to kids and, the biggest thing is about they feel like they don't have the confidence. They feel like they don't have the support. They feel as if like nobody really cares about them.
Excuse me. And that is an awful feeling to have when you're ever any age, but especially when you're a teenager going through, puberty and all that other stuff and the hormones and all that. And then to feel like you don't matter and then nobody cares. That's not an appropriate way for us to be treating the people that are in our own country. Because everybody needs to have a purpose and value and to feel as such. So I'm glad that you're talking to the kids because you're a shining example of somebody who can be what they would like to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And like when I talk to kids, I share my story. I shared that 'cause when I grew up, I was the smallest out of four kids. And I'm the third child. Even my baby sister was bigger than me. And so, but even though I know just bigger, but now I'm bigger than everybody else. But so even though, when I go to schools, I let kids know that it doesn't matter about your size. It doesn't matter if you you feel left out, you feel alone. Because growing up, even when I was in school, I felt like a loner. I would follow my older brother and just try to have his friends be my friends, and I never fit in just because I felt like, I want to be around. But eventually I share my story with them. Growing up, feeling lonely. I share my story growing up, being having a single parent, feeling like you don't belong anywhere because you're too small, or nobody wants to talk to you because they don't feel comfortable, like no matter what it is. So I share with them the importance of actually learning, changing your mindset about how you see yourself. Even some of the most successful people didn't have friends in high school or middle school, but they understand the value of themselves, and getting kids to understand the value of who they are and being able to talk to themselves in a positive manner. Because a lot of kids talk to themselves in a negative way. I'm not good enough. Why would I want to do that? I'm not smart enough. So it's breaking the cycle of how you see yourself. If you don't mind me sharing this, I do an exercise with the kids when I do workshops or when I do speaking engagement. I tell them, imagine your hand is a mirror. When you hold your hand up, who do you see in this mirror? Or even when you go home, take up all the makeup, be your normal self. Who do you see? What do you tell this person to motivate this person that you see that they can achieve anything in life? What are the words are you speaking to them? And you'd be surprised, Kevin. Most people don't have 10 kind words to say to them,
You're right.
and
You're
that's
right.
and that's sad. And the worst part about it is that I've done that same exercise with adults. Most adults don't have 5 words that can basically identify who they are as adults and what they want to achieve as adults. So it's full circle. It's not just the kids, it's the parents, and what the parents say, what they're teaching the kids at home, and how they're communicating with their kids at home, and the belief system that they put it in kids at home. So it starts all full circle. It's not just the kids, it's everyone, and how you're motivating the kids and how you're supporting them.
Exactly. And the thing, and I don't know why people do this to their kids, but they don't give them the fundamental tools to be able to say you are great as you are, but you can do anything. And a lot of parents don't tell their kids that. And I started out at one point in time when I was 19. I was a graveyard dishwasher at Denny's.
Hmm.
A graveyard dishwasher at Denny's not only doesn't make a lot of money, they stay up all night and they're dirty and you're washing dishes and stuff. Well, I always knew that I had potential and had ability. And eventually I ended up as a national sales manager for a major poultry company. And now I'm doing this. My life has been magical, and it isn't because I gave up. It was because I believed in who I was and what I could do. But I had people along the way who helped me understand. I had a little league baseball coach who I dearly loved, and he helped me understand that I had value. And we all need that in our lives for people to tell us that we have value. And I'm glad you're doing the work that you're doing, because everybody needs to know that what they've been told is fundamentally wrong. They're not who the stories are about them. They are born great, and they can be great. Don't you agree?
Absolutely, Kevin. When I speak to kids, I always give them example or individuals, but like adults who've been born with like deformities, like Nick Vinacek. He has no arm, no legs, but he still is able to climb Mount Everest, and he still did remarkable things. Individuals who felt like, I'm not a good athlete, but I think her name is Katie. She's out of North Carolina. In her high school, like every time she would run, she would cry because like her body would just shut down, but she wanted to be a runner. Everybody has something that challenges them, or a difficulty or a belief system that has been instilled inside of them. But it's your choice to understand that. Do I choose to believe in this, or do I choose to overcome this and become the person that I desire to be? And so from kids, I talk to them about that. But even as adults, I let them know that you have a choice. Everything in life is a choice. Whether you choose to say, I'm gonna overcome what I struggle with, I'm gonna overcome my anxiety, I'm gonna overcome my lack of self esteem, I'm gonna overcome my lack of actually being able to achieve my goals. It's a choice.
Yep.
And once you choose and change your mindset about your choices, is the moment you have the ability to be able to overcome your adversity with resilience and being able to actually achieve your goal.
That's
Love you, and
exactly.
you know,
Go ahead.
and one thing I always tell people is that it's about how much do you love yourself.
And if you look in the mirror and you can't honestly say that you love yourself, you need to go get some help from somebody because you are inherently perfect. And a lot of people say, "Oh no, I'm too short, I'm too fat, I'm bald," and well, you're still perfect. You're still perfect in the universe's eyes and stuff. Do you remember the story of Roger Bannister? Have you heard that story?
I probably you have to refresh my memory.
Years ago, there when guys were running before it would became the 10K or whatever it was, or no, the 5K. There was a 4 minute mile, and it was a magical um, barrier that people wanted to break the 4 minute mile. Doctors came out and said, "Oh no, the human body's not designed to go that fast and stuff, and you'll break down." And well, there was a guy by the name of Roger Bannister. He didn't believe any of that stuff, and he wanted to run a sub 4 minute mile. Nobody had ever done it, not once. And so he worked at it. He worked at it. It was a goal of his, and he worked at it. And then in a race, he went under 4 minutes. So he broke the 4 minute mile barrier. And you know what happened after that? Within 3 or 4 months, several other runners also broke the 4 minute mile because he proved that it could be done. And so now it wasn't impossible anymore. And so other people believed it. Believe in yourself and you can make anything happen. That's my understanding. What do you think?
Absolutely. And as you're telling me the story, I was like, I've heard the story before, and you're absolutely right. You have to believe in yourself because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. And it's hard to basically to receive help from other people when you don't believe in yourself. Because I would believe in people so much that I would go lacking just to help and support that individual. Whether they say, "Hey, can you help me achieve this goal? Can you help me with this business? Can you help me be overcome, like boost my confidence? Can you help me lose 30 pounds?" And I was like, you know what? Because I'm so results driven, I will do whatever it takes to help you achieve those goals for yourself. Even if I lack sleep, even if I know that you're struggling and you don't really, I don't see the work ethics, but I will still push them in the right direction. But then I have to realize that it's not me because I will be hard on myself because they didn't receive the results that they asked for. And I realized it wasn't me. It's because they didn't believe in their goals. And that's when I realized it's never about the physical, it's always about the mental, which allowed me to say, go be a coach. Don't be a personal trainer anymore. Go be a mindset and leadership coach. Go be a life coach to help people change how they view themselves, to help people change their aspect and their mental aspect of being able to achieve goals, to help them create a growth mindset. Go be that person because ultimately that will impact people more than doing the work for them or actually saying no to people.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. By the way, we've been talking to Larice Peoples, and go to his website, thepeoplessuccess.com. And before we go, we're running out of time, but anything else you'd like to add before we go, sir?
You know, no matter what you do in life, always believe in yourself. Never feel like you're by yourself because you're not. Many people feel the same way that you feel, but you just have to find those who's willing to help change as you're willing to change.
That is perfect. And by the way, if you change, there are people that are not going to accept that change, and that's perfectly okay. Let them go because new people are going to come in. Larice Peoples has been with us, and I want to thank you, sir. You're going to have to come back. We got more to talk about.
Thanks, Kevin, for having me. Definitely looking forward to coming back. We can talk about this for days and weeks. My number one goal is to empower people as much as possible, and add as much value to them with the knowledge that I have in my experience itself.
Thank you so much, young man. And you're not 45. Forget it. I know better. Well, and thanks to everybody, and we'll be back next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin at kmmedia.pro.